What's up, you guys? So we're about to head to Joey and Christina's farm. We're gonna do a sweat lodge today in the middle of a hot ass summer's day. Whose bright idea was this? It wasn't mine, all right? But I did agree to it. So we're gonna go set up, and I'm not sure exactly what I signed up for on this hot day, but for some reason I know I'm just supposed to sit in there. So we're gonna head up to Joey's and Christina's farm and start setting up. That wedge didn't split this thing at all. That thing is now buried in this. Yeah, forgot about the fire ants. Where'd you get those orange flowers? The big ones?
There was only one that was blooming.
Oh,
But
that's
there's
so
a
beautiful.
really gorgeous hibiscus over there. Isn't that amazing?
That was beautiful.
That's like one of the most beautiful ones I think I've ever seen. It's like pink
Seriously.
and orange. It's so
And it's
cool.
like it's not just like a flat 5 petal. It's like a whole bunch.
Have you ever seen this kind?
I haven't. No. No.
It's so cool.
It's like
so
sunset
cool.
colors.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Wow. So are they doing target practice back there today?
I don't know. Free range.
Gosh, that's so funny.
Free range target practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is my first sweat lodge here, so I'm not I'm just following whatever you guys are doing. I'm following your lead.
Perfect.
What's up, Joey? You don't mind my GoPro, huh? How are you, man?
Good.
Alright, I am back. As much as I would have loved to take you into the sweat lodge for ceremonial reasons. Sorry, I have like cat hair on my face. My cat. As much as I would like to take you into the ceremonial space, because it's a sacred ceremony, I wasn't allowed to film. I could have worn my camera at least while we put the blankets over the lodge, but that was the only other part that I would have been able to video. It would have been nice to video the whole thing, and gosh, it was intense. So that was only my second sweat lodge, and the first one I had done was before COVID, and that one was intense too. And because it was so long ago, I don't even remember. The one before COVID was my first one, but this one, it was intense, and there was supposed to be a whole lot more people that came, but apparently there was something going on where a lot of people were stuck in traffic and they had to turn around. Like, the traffic was so bad on our island that it ended up only being 4 of us in our sweat lodge. And normally it's like at least 20. So I don't know what happened. It was all divine, because what ended up happening was that it was just 4 of us, but it happened to be very very important catalytic minds. Like it happened to be the fact that I was there, and it was all by coincidence too, because I didn't plan to. Well, actually, no, I did plan to be off that day, and it was just kind of like a random day. Because normally I'm booked out for my tattooing, but months ago I had just taken that day off. I was just like, I'll just take the last Sunday of the month off. And it just so happened that there was a sweat lodge, and I was notified that morning, yesterday morning, and I made the decision, okay, I'm going. Like, I happen to be off, so I'm gonna go. And man, it was so beautiful, but yet it was also hard. My intention was to purify my body, to sweat out toxins, and to just tap into my spirit more. So the whole point about these enduring things is to tap into our spirit, because our spirit is so enduring. Our spirit is stronger than we think. Our spirit is resilient. And so putting ourselves in these ceremonial, difficult situations is like intentionally trying to tap into our spirit, which is like so much more resilient than we know of, like literally than we know of. The elder that led the lodge, he has been doing it for about 15 years, he said. He's been leading it for a very long time. But it just so happened that of the people that weren't able to make it was the singer. So there's a woman that normally sings the Lakota sweat lodge songs, and she wasn't able to make it. So what we ended up doing is saying prayers. So there's 4 rounds, and each round, and there's different ways of other people doing the sweat lodge, but for us it was all those rocks, those river stones were heated up so hot, and there was a total of 28 stones heated up, and they're heated up so hot in that fire. So each round there are 7 stones added to the sweat lodge, and the first round is 7, second 7, third 7, and then the fourth 7. So by the end there was 28 stones in the middle of the lodge inside of that. And as soon as the stones come in, you know, there's prayers being said, there's herbs and incense that are placed upon the rock, and everything is intentional. Everything is honoring life and creation. The whole point about the whole thing is honoring the unity of all things, the interconnectedness of all things. So the first round, we said prayers while all the water is being poured onto the stones, and it's so hot. So you know, we all get in, we all start just sitting there quietly, and he starts pouring the water on top of the stones, and it's pitch black. It's like literally pitch black. And the herbs that he puts on like lavender on the stones, and it was just like burning. As soon as I got in there, everything was burning. My nose was burning, my eyes were burning. Everything was just burning just to breathe. And my skin was burning, my ears were burning. It was like that hot. And so how he did it, normally if the singer was there, there's one song sang, and that's one round. So one song is sung while Kevin was pouring the water on the rocks to make it hot and steamy and super hot, and it just keeps heating up. Every time he keeps like splashing water on top of the stones, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter. So normally that's done while a song is being sung, and when the song is over, that's one round. But because the singer was in there, we went around saying a prayer, and we did that for every round. And let me tell you, breathing alone in that thing was hard to breathe. It just burns. Like my whole nose, my whole sinuses were burning, everything was burning, like my skin was on fire. Like it feels like you're gonna blister up. That's like, it's so hot. And he said there have been times where people walk out with blisters on their ears. But luckily I didn't walk out with any blisters. But it was hot. So the first round we said prayers. Oh no, what we did for the first round was we went around the circle and we said our name, where we're from, and our intention for the whole ceremony. And my intention was basically what I shared, to purify, to cleanse my body, to assist my spirit to integrate more into this body. And that can only happen through our purification process. The more we purify our bodies, the more our spirit is able to anchor into this physical vessel. The more toxicity our body carries, the harder it is for our spirit to fully integrate into this physical body. So that's why spiritual practice always involves some kind of purification. And you know, there are ways to go about it. There is, you know, you can become rigid about it, and it's not about being rigid, but it is about an organic process of becoming more pure in heart, pure in your body, pure in your mind and your thoughts. So it's an organic process. And you know, with that process of intentionally purifying yourself too, it's like you don't start beating yourself up in life when you fall off of that boat. Like let's say you do fall off, like, you know, you make a mistake, or you start eating toxic chemicals again and just doing toxic things, toxic behavior. The point is not to start beating yourself up and demonizing yourself and getting down on yourself and kicking yourself down and having that negative self-talk, because that's the opposite of purifying your mind, purifying. So when we do that, it's important to not be rigid and to learn how to adopt a loving care, a loving talk to yourself, to get yourself back up and get back on the horse and realign, to course correct, recalibrate. So, I mean, that's a side tangent about purification. So my intention was to purify, to anchor in more of my spirit, as I've been purging quite a bit for the past 6 months. Things that have been probably just stuck in my intestines for a very long time. I went through this huge 6 month purge, and it's been intense. So that was my intention, and my intention was to learn how to love more, understand love more, learn what love looks like in every different situation, when it's okay to take responsibility for others, and when it is not okay, when it actually is more detrimental. So that was my intention, and every word I said, it was just like burning, like literally burning. Like first round, I'm just like, I feel like I'm ready to drop already. And everyone goes around saying their intention and where they're from, what indigenous tribe they descend from, if they know. And I said I didn't know. There's a lot of lost history with my ancestry as far as indigenous roots. I'm a mixed plate, right? So yeah, that was, I mean, it was beautiful, it was hard, and as soon as the last person had said their intention, all the water was poured from the bucket onto that stones, and we were able to get out and take a little break of fresh air. And like, oh my goodness, dude. As soon as I got out of there, like my nose was just dripping with all kinds of crap. I had to blow my nose, and I didn't realize that. I mean, apparently I had purged a whole lot from my sinuses, and it was so good. And then I'm just like covered in sweat, like I jumped in a river, you know. And then we're all covered in grass. So if you look, because you know it's on grass, and it's so hot and so steamy that our sweat and the steam, we end up being just covered in grass, because you know you have to crawl in, crawl out, and we're all just kind of like lay out on the grass for a moment, gathering our thoughts and just trying to like regain composure. Man, after that first round, I was like, gosh, there's like 3 more rounds of this. That first round was intense. And so there was 3 guys and 1 woman. The woman was like, I'm gonna sit out this next round. And so us three guys went back in for the second round. The second round, we all said prayers around our, what was it? Oh, for the mothers. It was prayers for the mothers. And wait, was it for, no, it was for the feminine. Yeah, we said prayers for the feminine. And so we all said prayers for the feminine. I said prayers for my mom, for Mama Aina, for the women around the world, all the struggles that women are dealing with. And just even like the feminine aspect in general, in nature, that has been so wounded and assaulted. So we all said our prayers one by one, and man, I swear, every breath you take in that lodge is just fire, just straight breathing fire. And every move you make, oh gosh. I mean, if you sat in the sauna, you kind of know, but this was way hotter than any sauna I've ever been in, that's for sure. I mean, the sauna is it's pretty much the same thing. It is like a sauna, but it's so enclosed and it's so intimate, and you're like right by the stones. It is just like intense. And so, I'm really just try to focus on your prayers, and that's what we're doing. We're focusing on our prayers and not really trying to get caught up in the mind and how hot it is and like any kind of panic. It's all about really developing that inner strength in the middle of adversity. It's focusing on that and developing that in the midst of adversity, in the midst of discomfort, which is one of the greatest fears of all mankind, right? It's discomfort. And being able to just sit in it was relieving to know, at the end. And I felt so grateful, so at ease. And my friend Joey, who was next to me, who owns that farm that we did it on, he was telling me that, whenever you feel it's so tough and you get all caught up in your mind that like it's so hard, he said you pray for the person next to you because they're probably going through the same thing. So he said instead of praying for yourself, you pray for your brother next to you who is also going through the same trouble. And that kind of shifted things too for me, because every time I felt like it was really hard and uncomfortable, I started praying for all of us, like, oh, I know all my brothers in here are feeling that discomfort and feeling that pain. So that was beautiful. That was like a really beautiful tip. So I prayed for all of us, just knowing that we're all going through it. And then the third round was it was for our grandparents, a prayer for our grandparents. And yeah, that was really beautiful. The fourth round, it was more of just Kevin talking, the one who was leading it. He talked for a moment while by that point I was just so wiped out already. I was laying down inside of in the sweat lodge, and I found that it was a little bit easier. Like it's a little cheat code. If there's room, just lay down. Because the grass's temperature wasn't as hot as the air. So just laying down, I mean, you still can't escape it. It's still hot in there, no doubt. But it was just like a tad bit off a little edge to just like help me get through it. I laid down, and there was room because there was a lot of people that didn't come. But man, after that, we're just covered in sweat, grass all over us. Like we look like we rolled around, like we jumped in a river and rolled around in the dirt and the grass, and that's pretty much kind of like what we did. Because every single time we got out of that lodge after every round, we all just kind of laid on the grass, just like gasping for air. But after the fourth one, and the woman came back in for the fourth one. She took her break she stayed out for the second and third, and it's cool, you know. It was good to see that they allowed that for her, and like, you know, they didn't force anyone to be in there. But while I was in there and just being so prayerful, and it's so sacred to the point where I wasn't even allowed to film, like that's what we're missing in our lives. We're missing how we keep things sacred. And you know, all of life is actually sacred. All of life is sacred, and the fact that we don't honor that, and we live in a world where we're conditioned by this world of consumerism, that we're separate, and that there's scarcity, that nothing is treated as sacred anymore. And I think the whole point about at least tapping into that miracle of us being able to regenerate, and being able to regenerate our lands, the Garden of Eden again, is first acknowledging that life is sacred. First acknowledging that our own lives are sacred. Like the fact that we're so brainwashed with hurt and wounds and fear and consumerism and division and scarcity by the outside world and how it's designed. We are just destroying ourselves with every choice we make, not knowing how sacred our choices are, how sacred our own life is. Like our lives are so sacred and they're so powerful, and we have so much power in every single choice that this world has conditioned us to not see it. And it's by design. It's by design, because we don't understand our power without fully experiencing this duality in this world. Like the God within us cannot be conscious of itself and its power without understanding both aspects of duality, both ends of the spectrum, opposite spectrum. And when we understand how they both fit and how they play a part in waking us up to how powerful our choices are, to how powerful the God within us is, that's when we start living from a different place, where we start living from honoring like the sacredness in everything. It's like we wake up. That's what's supposed to wake us up. And until we wake up to life being sacred, like all of life is sacred, and every single person has something very sacred hidden deep within them, whether they know it or not. Like until we can recognize that in all of life around us, like we don't have a shot at experiencing the miracles of regeneration and healing and all the potential that we are capable of. But one of the first things is first waking up to realize how sacred our life is. Yeah, it was a beautiful ceremony, and after that we just had like these incredible talks. We were discussing like sustainability. So Joey has a regenerative farm, and the minds that were there today were just important key players in bringing people together to really make things happen. And the fact that I ended up being there by chance, of course I don't believe in that. I know it was on divine purpose. The fact that I was there when all the regulars weren't able to make it, just regarding my own dream, contributing to sustainability was really huge. And so we spent an easy few hours just talking, covered in grass and sweat, gasping for air, rehydrating, drinking our water on Joey's farm in a hot summer's day. We just were talking about life and the medicine path, and all of them also have been on the medicine journey with ayahuasca, and it was beautiful to be surrounded by other medicine men and women, because in my day-to-day life I'm not surrounded by that. You know, I've always just an observation of my own life, like I've always been sent, and I feel like I'm assigned to some of the darkest places here on this island. And, you know, just my current business that sustains me as a tattoo artist. Gosh, I've been assigned to such a dark place. However, I do feel like I have traveled so much in this dark space, and where I'm at now, as far as the tattooing industry goes, because it's a dark place, as far as the tattooing industry goes here on this island, I feel like I'm in a place where we are probably the lightest. Like our team, like no one is a junkie in our shop, no one does drugs, and we're all super motivated to just keep pushing our craft. So it's super amazing to be around that. Finally, in my 8 years of professional tattooing, just being around so much toxicity in such dark places and so much narcissistic abuse and addictions and addicts, and yeah, it's been a wild ride. So, you know, my day-to-day, I'm not normally surrounded by these medicine and men and women. It's usually only whenever there are medicine ceremonies where I always kind of like, we all kind of reunite, we all kind of regain our bearings, get recalibrated, and remember who we are, and then we all go back out into our world and do what we do. But you know, as much as I love tattooing, talking with these guys and how much they were talking about, you know, regenerative agriculture, because that is like, it's going to be the future of my life, like no doubt about it. It's been a dream of mine for so long, and it's becoming clearer and clearer and clearer, and meeting more and more people. Like I'm slowly finding myself in the midst of these big players in this movement of sustainability and regenerative agriculture. And I already know what branch I specifically have been called to go into, but you know, I'm not going to say too much about it right now, because I'd rather just let life orchestrate it for me. To the point, I just keep tuning my own frequency to what it is I love the most. I seem to be attracting more and more opportunity around exactly what it is that I feel like God has put in my heart for a very long time. Like this dream that I've had, it's probably over 20 years old, and I haven't seen it come to fruition. You know, I mean, while I'm in this dark industry of tattooing, which I still love because an archetype of mine is the artist. But I know I'm also a scientist. I turn everything into a science. But being around these people was so empowering and so refreshing. Just being able to chopping wood was refreshing too. Like, I'm so grateful. Like the whole thing, even the pain, the ceremony, I kept giving thanks for just the discomfort and being able to get comfortable, being uncomfortable. It's such a blessing to be able to develop that ability, to develop that strength. But yeah, chopping wood, I feel like that is something missing from our society and the way men are brought up. I feel like all men should know how to chop wood. There's like something very wrong about that being missing in our life. But it was good, even though the wood was not fully dry. It was good, making me feel kind of insecure. And then to feel just like I just fully cleansed my whole lymphatic system, you know, just like moved so much toxicity out of my body. It was good. Not to mention, in the morning, I start off the morning with an enema. I'm not sure if that's TMI, but enemas are also a very sacred, ancient practice, thousands of years. There's even records of enemas and how to perform enemas in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's how intense it is. Yeshua also taught people how to do enemas in the Jordan River, which is not talked about in the Bible, or maybe it is and I'm not aware of it. But if you dive into the world of the Essenes, who pretty much brought up Yeshua, it was the sect of Jews that weren't Pharisees, that weren't Sadducees. They were kind of like these off-grid, mysterious Jews that lived out in the wild. So they were very in tune with the land, very in tune with their bodies, very in tune with a lot of mystery science, spiritual science, and weren't rigid in their ways. There were, you know, as far as the Essenes, there were a sect within the Essenes that were rigid, but then for the most part, the Essenes were a very eclectic, diverse type of people. It's incredible if you dive into that. But they are the ones that Yeshua grew up around, how he developed. They're the ones that used to lay healing hands on people. They're the ones that would always do water baptisms. The Sadducees and the Pharisees, they weren't all about that. But anyway, yeah, I'm a little tangent on animals. But by the end of the sweat lodge, it's like, man, I guess it's dopamine, you know, knowing that that feeling of accomplishment, like just doing something really hard that you didn't want to do, you're just like flooded, you know. I was so relaxed and so flooded, and then connecting on that deep level. But yeah, that was my sweat lodge. I know I'm just kind of ranting now. I wish I could have taken the camera inside and shown you and filmed everybody as we're all covered in grass and sweat and gasping for air. I wish I could even make you guys feel what it felt like. Oh man, so I was the last one out from the last round, and you know, I was kind of sitting near, if you're looking at the door from the inside, I was on the right side. As everyone left, Kevin was like, okay, and you know, you have to go around clockwise to come out. I was just like, oh, for real? I was like, I gotta crawl around these freaking stones to get out. Yo, crawling in that space, oh, it's just like moving through it, you're just on fire, like you're burning Like your skin is literally feels like it's blistering as you just breathe in there and move in there. Every movement you feel it more. Like as your body hits, I guess, more and more of the steam. Dude. And then as soon as I started crawling out and I got by the door, the girl was just like staying there right in front of the door, like saying some kind of prayer before she fully left. And I'm just like staying there like, okay, come on. It is burning. No, it was good. I'm so glad I did it, and I pray you guys are able to lean into discomfort, lean into insecurity, and recognize the sacredness that is within you and around you and all around you. Alright guys, peace. Thanks for watching.